Greetings everyone, this is Glenda and welcome to our channel. In this channel we will explore the beautiful and wonderful world of plants. In our first few videos we will be looking at some of the succulents, the different varieties of succulents that we have available and commonly grown on some people's backyards. Though a limited space and a little amount of time, they're still able to grow it with a limited budget as well. So I hope you can join me. Why succulent? Succulent is a symbol of enduring and timeless love. Why and how so? I believe it's because of its ability to store water in its stems and leaves for an extended period of time, preparing it for the tough times ahead. So I hope you will join me. Morning guys, this is Glenda. Please join me today as we look at one of the many succulents from the Sedum genus. Sedum is known to have up to 600 species of varieties. This species mostly comes from the northern hemisphere and extends to the southern hemisphere in parts of Africa and South America. It varies from an annual creeping herb or mini shrubs. It is also known as stone crops with spreading foliage. Sedum symbolizes peace and tranquility or calm. So join me on our next video as we explore one of the many varieties that this Sedum genus have. I'll see you later. Hello again. As mentioned before, we will be talking about one of the Sedum variety. This is Sedum Bronze Delight or Chocolate Stone, as they call it in other countries. I think it got its name from the color of the leaves. So Bronze Delight because the color of the leaves will eventually turn reddish brown, reddish bronze, and as it really fully mature, it will become dark brown, chocolate brown. But at a young stage, like when it's just growing, it will have splashes of pink, splashes of red, and it changes color from light green to dark green, then reddish to brownish. So it gives you a lot of different colors while it's growing, and it depends on the sun exposure as well, which we will talk about later on. So sun exposure for this, it loves a lot of sun. Like mine, this is exposed directly on an 8-hour-a-day sunlight without any covering. I don't shelter this even when it's really hot. But it will also grow. It's not a problem. This can grow to under cover, like if you have an area where sun is filtered, so long as it's got enough light, it will grow, it will not die. But you might not achieve full growth like the ones that I have here, which is very healthy, and it has given me splashes of color that changes over the summer months. So the characteristics of the leaves, it's plump and fleshy. It looks like it's almost round, but because it's flat at the front and it's got a hump at the back. So the length grows for about 3/4 of an inch and the width is 1/4 of an inch. And it tends to grow like, see this stem? The leaves grow like a cluster at the end of the stem. It forms like a rosette. It grows as a cluster at the end of the stem like a rosette. So when you look at the plant itself, you might say that it's a rosette type of plant. It is not, because tendency is as it grows mature, it pushes the mature leaves downward. So what you will see is just a cluster of rosettes at the top of the stem. So the stem is like the size of a chopstick, strong enough to hold a lot of leaves on it. But even this one that I have, aside from the leaves, it has also extended its stem, and then further stems have grown out of it. So it's that strong, and as I've said, it pushes the leaves and until it comes off. Like, it keeps on falling off because, as I've said, it's really crispy and crunchy. You might not want to put this in an area where there's a lot of traffic, like kids or your pets running around, because it can fall off easily. Soil, like most other succulents, it does require porous, gritty, well draining. So what I've used here is just a readily available cacti and succulent mix, which I believe already contains fertilizer. But if you do make your own, just 30% of garden soil or potting soil, and 10% of dried cow or chicken manure, and then 60 to 70% can be whatever material you have to make it gritty, like crushed granite, crushed stones, perlite, pumice, or sand if you have any of those materials, whatever is available with you. Even tiny branches of plants or dead bark of trees, you can use that as well. So watering this plant, it loves a lot of water. Like during the summer months, I water it almost every other day, showering the whole plant, like from the top to the bottom. Just make sure that the water drains well. So you have to use a pot with lots of holes that water drains well. So I won't measure the amount of water that I put in. I will just wait until it drains out of the pot. And that's how I see as well that my soil is well draining. Because if the water sits at the bottom of the pot, that will go dry. So, but if you can say that your pot is not really that well draining, you adjust your watering schedule and don't water too much. Just make sure that it's watered, but it's not soaking wet. Don't allow it to be soaking wet. So that's during the summer months. But now that it's winter, I only water it once a week, and I'll just make sure that I'm careful about not showering it, like don't wet the leaves. The reason for that being is because it's cold right now. Well, not unless if you dry your plant, you allow your plant to dry during the day. Say if you water it during winter, at the start of the day, that will give it enough time to dry the leaves and nothing remains. So it's totally dry by nightfall. Because when the water is sitting on the leaves and it becomes cold, it might turn icy and it can cause the leaves to rot as well. So, as I've said, just to recap on that, during summer, I'll give it a good shower. So you can see mine, even now that it's winter, I water it early in the day if the weather is not, or the temperature is not very, very low. I water it like giving it a shower, so the leaves are really, really clean and it looks like plastic. So I can really see the colors of it. It's so beautiful and it looks so healthy as well. So fertilizing, as I've said, I don't fertilize mine because I believe the mix that I'm using already contains it. But if you do, just use your normal succulent and cacti slow release fertilizer once a month, maybe about 5 to 10 pieces of that little balls that they have. I'm using the Osmocote cacti and succulent mix. cacti and succulent slow release fertilizer, but with this one I'm not using any. So, but if you do use that, just a small amount once a month. So I'm saying those little bowls that looks like a mung bean size, maybe about 10 pieces of those. But if you mix it already with your soil, just about 10% of your total potting mix, use either cow manure or chicken manure. So propagation of this plant, you can propagate it. People say that there are seeds available, but I haven't seen one. So, but it's easy to propagate from stem cutting or leaf propagation. So just the same principle, just allow the stem cutting to dry. Make sure that there's no open wound before you put it in a potting mix or in a soil. The purpose for that is you don't want that open wound or open cut to absorb any microbes from the soil or any moisture from the soil. Same thing with the leaves. So I don't really intend to propagate it, but as I've said, it comes off easily. So if I have a fallen leaf like this, I'll just put it like upside down, flat on any pot that I have, and 3 to 4 weeks, it will grow shoots. So it's that easy and it's that simple. You just keep your potting mix or your soil moist, and it will just grow. Same thing with the cutting. After drying it, just keep it moist. But before, when it's not dried up yet, and if you put it in a potting mix, just make sure you don't expose it to the sun, you don't expose it to any water or moisture. But if you will have to dry it, you can put it on your potting mix and then moisten the soil as you go. Just make sure that it's moist until it will develop roots. So pests and insects on this, I haven't seen any pests or insects around it. I haven't seen any mealybugs, aphids, or fungus. The only thing that I can tell you is it's a favorite of worms and snails. I don't know what's with the worms or the snails. They like to bite little bits on the leaf, so they don't finish the entire leaf. So they'll just munch a tiny part of it and then move on to another leaf. I don't know what's with them. So if you see worms, the really dark one, and then the baby snails, just make sure that you put it away from your plant and either squish it or kill it. I don't know what purpose they have in this world. Maybe to feed the birds, but to the plants, it's a menace. So I think we've talked about all of these features. So the price on this, it's not that expensive to buy. Like I've seen from the shops in commercial nursery shops or where you can buy plants from. Here in Australia, it ranges from $5 to $10, the small cutting. So sometimes they sell it for $6. It depends where you get it from. But if you go to marketplaces, like a stem cutting like this is what I'm talking about, that sells for between $6 to $10 in commercial shops, commercial nurseries. But in marketplaces, this small pot like this size, you can get it for between $2 to $3, this size of cutting. Yeah, I'm just trying. I've cut this earlier, but I'm just trying it, allowing it to propagate later on, just allowing it to dry. So I'll just wait 2 days. It looks like it's dried up already. Maybe you can just put this straight away, but I prefer to just wait. See the colors of this when I cut? It's like reddish bronzed already. So that's what I said, it's between $2 to $3 from marketplaces. But if you know someone who can give you a cutting or some leaves to propagate, that would be nice. See, these are my propagation. It grows quite quick. See, these are just leaves. I don't really intend to propagate, but as it falls off, as I've said, I'll just lay it flat on a pot or potting soil, and it will just grow within 3 to 4 weeks. So this is what I have, my full grown and my pride and joy among my Bronze Delight. Full sun, but just give you a tip. If you anticipate that the weather or the temperature during summer is very, very hot, just shelter it. Because with mine that I don't shelter it, I have brown, like burning on the leaves, but I don't mind because I've got so much leaves in mine and I've got so much growing. I don't mind even the whole stem would burn. I just want to see it growing so healthy and achieving its full growth and giving me different splashes of color while it's growing. So I think that's it for this Sedum Bronze Delight. I hope you picked up something, and I hope you will join me again as we feature other sedums, like my Sedum Mendozae is growing really also very beautifully. So I have 3 pots like this. They're not really trailing, but because of the way that I'm planting it, that I have allowed it to drop from the pot, it trails, and you can see this Mendozae has really beautiful flowers as well. So we will feature this on our next video. Thanks for your company, and bye for now.